Now on to the second part of Relic's new RTS beast, the multiplayer skirmish mode. And skirmish mode has you choosing between all the 4 races, Space Marines, Orcs, Eldar, and Tyranids, and 3 heroes all specializing in either teleportation, healing, defense, stealth, or just plain melee. And as you'll notice again, base building is surprisingly absent within this game. You have one central structure from which all your units are recruited from, and the rest of the gameplay seems a mix between the original Dawn of War and Relic's other RTS franchise, Company of Heroes, meaning that there are requisition and power points scattered throughout the map, which you capture and use to collect resources, which you then use to build, research, and reach your next tier of units. Then from the Company of Heroes side, you'll notice the same refinements that made it in single player, that your units are intelligent, they will take cover if you're not near them, and there are different variations of cover throughout the map. This cover is destructible, it creates a dynamic battlefield, and there's also cones of fire where you can set up heavy bolters and they will suppress units around them, and you can also retreat units back to your HQ if you need to. This is all good and the gameplay is as solid as ever, but there are some changes that I greatly dislike, and I think there are other people who will dislike them as well. But then again, I know that there are people who will praise them, which makes this a difficult game for me to review. So I'll just tell you the facts and how I feel about what they've done. As I said before, they've removed base building and moved most of your research onto the units themselves, which comes in the form of weird war gear, which you can specialize and make them either effective against vehicles or infantry or heavily armored infantry or what have you, so you could really personalize these squads and really have them be able to do what you want them to do and when you want them to do it. They've also reduced the unit count and the amount of units you have on screen significantly. I would say upwards of half of what you had in Company of Heroes, and must be an eighth of what you had in the original Dawn of War. And personally, I'm the kind of guy who believes the grander the scale, the more units there are on screen, the happier I am. And this is something that will definitely be missed in the new Dawn of War. When they scaled back base building, they also scaled back unit variety and abilities. And this to me limits my tactical options, which I do not like at all, because I like having a lot of ways to go about my goals and a lot of variation between the way every game's played. And I believe that will be lost in Dawn of War 2. Granted, there are people who will like this scaled back version because they'll probably like it for the exact opposite reason which I like it. I enjoy my RTS games to be complex. I enjoy them to give me a lot of options. There are people who also want to just jump in and have a more refined experience. And if you are one of those people, you should definitely go out and buy Dawn of War 2 right now, because this is your game. If you're not one of those people, you definitely should hold back on this game. I would definitely not see myself playing this game online. In the future, I'm going to be sticking to Company of Heroes, I'm going to be sticking to StarCraft, etc. But that doesn't mean I'm going to declare that the game is terrible and you shouldn't check it out, because the gameplay is still solid, if not scaled back, and it is still a lot of fun to play.
An allied forces are coming under attack.
And that's where I believe a lot of people are going to be divided on the game. And so there are my thoughts and feelings on the multiplayer aspect of Dawn of War. As I said, the gameplay is still as rock solid as ever. The animations are great, graphics are great, everything is great. However, I'm not going to be playing this in the future because it is scaled back. However, I believe you should still check it out. You should still see if this game's for you. And that's where I'm going to end my thoughts and my musings upon the multiplayer aspect of Dawn of War 2. Before we wrap things up, I just want to say a quick few last words about the sound, narration, and the graphics. As you can plainly see, the graphics are gorgeous, and all the units are extremely well detailed and extremely pretty, and they animate very fluently, and it really gives what is a signature of Relic is it really gives that cinematic experience that is unrivaled in most RTSs today. Also, all the brutal killing and finishing moves from Dawn of War 1 make their return, and they are glorious to see in this new HD era. For example, when your guys with the chainsaw get up in Eldar's face and rip him to shreds with it, and it's all very visceral, and it's all very cool, and it still, as again, it creates that cinematic experience that is not found in most RTSs. And finally, the sound. The sound is killer, and as you can probably be hearing in the background, all the gun noises and what your guys yell in the battle, it really brings this to life and really makes it feel like a real battlefield. What is especially impressive is when your Space Marines will yell, "There's Tyranids behind the rocks, let's go flush them out," and there's really Tyranids behind the rocks, or there's Tyranids on the hill, or there's Eldar by the pipes, and it's just really amazing to see that your units, they can see the enemy, and they gauge their position on their own, and they feed that back to you, which is, I believe, is absolutely astounding, and I don't find that in any other RTS. And finally, the story. The story involves the Blood Ravens, which are a Space Marine chapter. They're fighting back Orc invasion on their homeworld, and they find that the Eldar and other race of aliens are kind of stirring them up, and a preparation for a Tyranid invasion, which are basically Zerg-like insects that devour all life, and they're stirring them up so the Orcs will fight the Tyranids and slow down their invasion in hopes of saving the sector, and basically you, the Space Marines, have to kill everybody that's not you and save the sector from destruction at the hands of the Tyranids. The narrative isn't particularly compelling, and all mission briefings are kind of given to you by a talking portrait of a Space Marine's head, and they all seemingly sound the same. But if you're a Warhammer fan, I believe you're going to get a kick out of the characters and out of the banter that they exchange in between battles. Anyway, that was my convoluted video review of Dawn of War 2. I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10 for its ingenious and awesome single-player campaign, its fantastic graphics, fantastic animation, fantastic sound, and rock-solid gameplay. However, some of this comes at the expense of variation and complexity, as seen in the multiplayer gameplay. Anyway, I'm going to recommend it for those who are getting a little bit tired of the regular RTS flair, and in fact, I think if you like action RPGs, you'll like this game, so I'll recommend that to you too. Anyway, please head on over to criticalhitcontent.com for some cool community features, blogs, forums, podcasts, anything else. Anyway, that's been Stalin, and I'll catch you on the other side.